Okay. Yeah, I've gotten in the habit of just cutting it short, manually going in and just shutting Zoom off on purpose, because then it'll buy me more time for later. So, wow. Scenes 10 and 11 of Not Voracity are pretty substantial. I mean, well, let's just look at this. I mean, we now have a name to Mama, right? Which furthers the personal connection the audience has made with her, seeing her in such intimate settings since the very beginning. Because in the very beginning, all that we know is her son's name. But we don't know her name, and yet we still are thrown into her world. Now we have a name for her. And that's strategically placed because everything that's already been laid out is now solidified later in the story. So now we have a name to call it by. Her name is Diane. And so now this is the story of Diane and Brendan. And we saw the beginnings of that. But let's look at her character now. Let's look at Mama. Let's look at Mama. Mama is, well, like I was saying, Mama is now in control, right? In the past, we had seen her just completely lose her mind and have a trauma response. And now 30 years later, she's an older woman, mid-age really, about 40s, and she's in control. Right? Now she's in control. And this control is really a response to trauma, is what we're seeing as well. It's also a response to trauma. These scenes are not necessarily about her success, right? They are about adaptation, adapting, right? Adapting after trauma. People do not return to who they were. Rather, they construct something new, right? A new persona, if you will. And so, right smack in the middle of, right there in scene 10, right when it starts, it shows her in this, big official meeting, and there's 3 attorneys on her, asking her all these questions and stuff. The function of that scene is it's establishing that control, right? It's establishing the precision that she has, and really the intellectual dominance she has. The emotion that we had seen before is now replaced with structure. And her behavior now reveals a new identity. Okay? And the dialogue that we have back and forth between her and the attorneys is reflecting a worldview. It's a control of narrative is what she's exercising, and it's a response to her past helplessness, right? If we were to break down one line in here, let me find it. There's one line that really shows this too. Right in the middle, in the meeting when she's talking to these attorneys, she says, quote, we don't prove what happened, we prove what didn't. That's what she says in the scene. Okay? That line right there, it reflects her inability to accept fixed reality after trauma. Very, very good. So, and then it goes into the next scene, right? Scene 11. It's that ascent routine, shows isolation. The whole scene of 11, with starting with the conversation she's having with her boss and everything. again, it's establishing control, and it's her. We're watching her. Let's see, how can I word this? What we're doing for the audience is we're humanizing her environment and therefore showing the emotional absence in her, right? And the boss is very much symbolism for this. It's kind of this old rich guy, all about the money. And really, he's kind of a philosophical mirror, showing truth versus isolation, right? And then we got the polar opposite. Then we got the clerk, right? She goes up to the clerk, who's a lot younger than her, and the clerk is very much symbolism too. She is very much showing a normal life contrast, right, to this cold ghost, the character persona that the mom has done to survive. And that small talk between the two of Maya and Diane really reveals what she lacks, right? And then it jumps into that office night scene, right? And it strips away Diane's performance completely, because we just seen a performative woman, at work. And so that this nighttime scene of her, staying late over in the office, it's showing that isolation beneath all the success that she's had. And she's so incredibly effective, but not emotionally present in these scenes. Especially in this scene, though, we can see it the most. She's not emotionally present. And so, what we're doing here, again, if I were to show how we're incorporating the screenwriting theory that we've been working on, what do we see in these scenes, right? Well, we're seeing emotion before explanation, right? Except it's reversed. And we're seeing the behavior over exposition. We're showing the repetition and how it creates meaning. And we're showing that internal experience over the external action, right? So, let's see if we can, I'll show you what this looks like. We'll do a little diagram for you. Okay, so here we go. This is our, what do we call it? Let's call it the transformation diagram, model. Yeah, let's just call it the transformation model, right? And let me grab my microphone so you can hear me. So what does this transformation, model look like? Well, looks like this. We've got our trauma, right? Which leads to this perception collapse. Right? Which then leads, hopefully you can see this, I don't know if you can. Don't worry, Zoomers, I'll point to it and I'll read it over and over again so you can, if you can't see it. But anyway, it's our trauma, which is then to our perception collapse, which then shows her, very well, it shows her kind of numbing, and which then led to this constructed identity. Yeah. Okay. Which then led to, for her, control over her life, which then led to her success. Right? Which then really conveys that internal void. Okay? And so there's a transformation model that we've seen, that we saw the beginning of it at that montage of her falling apart and the descent and the collapse, right? And then becoming this successful law consultant, right? It's the transformation of Diane, of this character, right? The trauma of losing her son led to a perception collapse. Her perception was screwed, okay? And then she became numb, right? Because of the response to the trauma, which then created somewhere along the line, because we didn't necessarily see it, we saw the after effects of it, but she then constructed this identity, which gave her control of her life, which led to good success, which then allowed her to have this internal void, right? And so that is her transformation, and there you go, right there. For our Zoomers, I'll say it one more time. The trauma led to her perception collapse, which then created this numbing effect on her life, which then she got out of that and constructed this identity in survival so that she had control over her life, which then gave her success. And, what's left is this ghost of a person who has this internal void. Very realistic. This is real life. This is how people. This is what happens to people with trauma and things that are hard to deal with. And so, you all get that? Okay, I'm going to erase it now because I got another thing I got to put up here. But hopefully, you Zoomers can see it. You just rewind, okay? Be kind, rewind, and see what I wrote here. All right. Right, so that's our transformation model. And so another thing that we got going on here is showing the... Here, let me use another marker. This marker sucks. There we go. Oh, okay, much better. But what we're seeing is a dual reality. That's an A, isn't it? Not an E. I was thinking like a duel, like a gun. No, dual, D-U-A-L, like dual-wield, right? Two guns. Our dual reality is what's going on here, okay? We've got our external, and we've got our internal, okay? And each one equals different things. Different things, obviously. One's on the outside, one's on the inside, okay? So on the outside, we see her being, professional. She's being professional, she's collected, she's respected, right? She's respected. She has intellectual dominance, right? She's extremely precise. Okay? But on the inside, she's isolated, completely alone. She's disassociated, right? And she's ultimately unresolved over the loss of her son. Okay? So that's the dual reality. I'll say it again for our Zoomers. But on the outside, Diane, Mama, is professional and respected and precise in her constructed identity. But on the inside, she's still just as broken as she was 30 years ago. She's isolated, she's disassociated, she's completely unresolved. Completely unresolved. You know, what the scene is conveying really well. And we will see more of it as it goes on. But she did not become stronger, right? She didn't repair and she didn't repair. She's still broken. All that changed was she became more controlled. And those two things are very different. They are not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. And so, despite everything, she's still unresolved. Anyway, so those are our two scenes, scene 10 and 11. I think that's all I got for you today. I had another thing on here, but I think we'll have to save that for tomorrow. But yeah, these will be on Canvas. We're really just going through the script. It's a really good script, and we're just, continuing to show you the advanced screenwriting theory that, and how our storytelling is compelling. And yeah, so there we go, folks. Thank you for showing up to class today. Yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and stick around. And yeah, hey, happy Monday. We made it through. Monday, Monday, Monday. You know the drill. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me answer your question. I'm going to just stop this Zoom real quick, but yeah. Oh, of course. So here's what you're going to do.